Alrighty boys, we're back with that new One Punch Man chapter, Saitama vs. Tatsumaki, and Tatsumaki starts going crazy against Saitama in this chapter, risking it all, crazy destructive tornado psychic power. We also got to learn the name of the Tsukuyomi character, which we thought she killed. He didn't die, his name is Apollo, and he vows to return. I'm Mastar, your host, and welcome back to the channel. Ooh, we got a spicy one today. Let's jump in. Bro, Murata, he loves to draw him thick, you know what I mean? I mean, he gave Tatsumaki some super thick thighs in this chapter, and fans are eating it up right now. We still got the Fubuki fan group versus the Tatsumaki fan group. Everybody's arguing in the comments, who is Saitama gonna end up with? Who is the sexier waifu? Personally, I'm a Fubuki guy, but I mean, Tatsumaki looks pretty darn good in this chapter, I'm not gonna lie. And she is 28, by the way. I was telling my wife about this chapter in the car earlier, and she's like, isn't Tatsumaki a little girl? I'm like, she's 28! Okay, she's 28, she's older than Saitama. Okay, so the chapter opens up with this kind of innocent family driving in a car, and it's important because later on, they're gonna walk in the path of the battle of Saitama versus Tatsumaki. They're very excited because they are driving to the new hero civilian complex where Saitama is living, and the father's saying that, yeah, this is gonna be put me in debt for 35 years, but it's worth it for our safety because there's monsters running around like crazy. We've already been told that there's way more monsters showing up and stronger monsters than usual, and so people are scared and they feel like, well, there's a bunch of heroes that live here. This is the place we can be safe, even if it costs everything. It's better than losing our lives. And they're like, what's that in the sky? Is that a bird? That's when you see Saitama and Tatsumaki flying in a thunderbolt of psychic energy. If you remember at the end of the last chapter, Saitama knew that Tatsumaki was going to get dangerous by using so much of her power, so he hugged her and rocketed out of that secret area they were underneath the Hero Association. In a humorous way, they start bouncing through the landscape, and in this comical looking picture, Tatsumaki asks, how long do you plan on holding me, you pervert? Saitama begins to vibrate like absolute crazy. She's spinning him like a tornado, and she's starting to output more of her psychic power. But it's very clear in this chapter that she is not full power, so in the translations for the last chapter, Fubuki said that Tatsumaki was using her full power, but in this chapter she says, I wonder what happens if I output even more, so I think she's definitely holding back a little bit, but even Saitama is being flung around like a rag doll by Tatsumaki, and again, this is an incredibly impressive feat. Even just being able to manipulate Saitama's parody body, which is invulnerable, is an incredible feat in its own right, and with that she slams him down into the ground. Obviously, Saitama won't take any damage, but again, this is an impressive feat by Tatsumaki for you power scalers. And even through all that, Saitama still holds on to her wrist. I just want to take a quick mental note here, how much I appreciate the way he draws Saitama's hand. It's so inconsequential, but there's something about Murata's art that it's like a combination of realism and perfect sharp lines that just feel good in your eyes to digest. I don't even know how to explain it any different than that. I just love this shot. And Tatsumaki asks, why aren't you letting go of me? Are you into me too or something? So Tatsumaki thinks that Saitama, he's got the hots for both Fubuki and Tatsumaki, when in reality, he's a total Chad Sigma male who doesn't care about either of them. He just doesn't want Tatsumaki to destroy his house again. So Saitama finally lets go of her wrist after she calls him out for harassment. She says, well, I guess you're not too bad. She actually gives him a compliment, acknowledging his strength a little bit, but this is where she says, in your case, I guess because you're stronger, even if I strengthen the output of my psychic power just a touch, you'll probably live. And so she does. So she's definitely not at full power, but she is increasing as this fight continues, and I think she will continue to do that, potentially even getting close to full power the more frustrated she gets in her battle with Saitama, because Saitama just will not take any damage. And as she increases her psychic power, she just does this flick, and it sends Saitama rocketing, flying like crazy. Now, unfortunately, I can't pan this picture anymore because you get a really nice shot of Tatsumaki's booty, and I'll probably get demonetized, but in any case, I always encourage you guys to go read the official manga from the source, whether it's the raw or when Viz puts it on the website. So Saitama recovers, he kind of slides into some rocks, and then he looks up, surprised to see that Tatsumaki is starting to unleash her real power. All of the rocks and rubble in the surrounding area start to lift up like a Dragon Ball Z battle, and then she begins her Tornado of Terror special ability, which is basically just to create a massive psychic tornado, like an EF5, 200 mile per hour winds, swirling all of this rocks and debris around, and then she's just going to, from distance, launch all of these rocks at Saitama, and that's a pretty devastating attack. Like, just take a minute to look at this picture and think about which S-Class heroes could even fight against this. None of the melee characters would really have a chance. I mean, what is someone like Tank Top Master, or even Bang, or Silver Fang, like, what is he gonna do against that? The only people I can think of is like maybe Metal Knight could, also fight from a distance with rockets and stuff like that. Maybe Blast would have a chance to dissipate the tornado, putting it into one of his hyperspace gates or something, but I don't really know who else could fight against Tatsumaki. I mean, inside that tornado, she is protecting herself with a psychic barrier. So even if you were gonna launch projectiles at her, she's just gonna absorb them all. She's not gonna take any damage. So Genos or any long-range fighters probably couldn't do anything either, and she's never lost to another Esper. Speaking of other Espers, we see a bunch of A-class heroes gathered around at the Chubaku Tensei that Tatsumaki encapsulated the Tsukuyomi character inside this ball of rock to kill him, but the ball breaks open and we get this nice drawing of a car. Looks like a 67 Mustang GT or something, and they take off, and we see that both the traitor to Fubuki's group is alive, as well as Apollo, which is the name of the Tsukuyomi character, who is injecting himself in the neck with something. Now, is that telling us how these fake Espers are made, through injections? Potentially. It could be some sort of healing thing. It could be the poison that he had in his system. This is just an antidote. But in any case, he is seriously messed up. He's missing an eye. He's bloody. He's, out of power. And he vows to return. So I'm thinking that he's going to become a god avatar and return at some point in the near future to potentially fight Tatsumaki. We go back to the tornado, and now Tatsumaki begins her onslaught, launching these massive boulders down at Saitama. The first one comes at him, and he just uses a simple, normal chop to just explode it on contact, and it does absolutely nothing as he stares up at this tornado. But that's just the one of many, because she's going to start launching an entire barrage of these huge boulders at psychic super speed down at Saitama, raining down like crazy. And the issue with this is they're not too far from Saitama's new home. Damage to the surrounding area is getting dangerously close to the civilians and hero complex. Now, the family from the beginning, who is driving to their new home, sees this massive tornado and sees that Tatsumaki is fighting someone. Again, I just want to pause on this image here and admire Murata's art. Look at the depth. You have 3 objects. Somehow he's able to fit all of this action and depth into one double page panel, how he collapses both the horizontal planes into the left distance. I admire it so much. Another thing that Murata is a master at is his use of contrast. Take a look at this Saitama shot as he starts getting a little bit serious. He's like flying on one of these rocks inside or just on the outside of the tornado. You can even see the little car of the people driving by in the distance. Just incredible landscaping and perspective shots in this chapter. The art is unbelievable. Now, Saitama is going to stop one of those rocks from destroying the car where the innocent family is trying to drive to their new home, and Saitama's like, yo, chill out, like this is getting too dangerous. Tatsumaki saying, don't act so pompous, and then we get another picture of her thick ass thighs. So Saitama says, yeah, she's not going to talk to me, she's not going to listen to reason. The only thing I can really do here is just tire her out. So I'm just going to continue to karate chop all of these rocks that are flying at me, and I'm just going to make her waste power, but oops, one of those rocks flew by me and it's going to destroy the innocent family, to which Saitama flies over to rescue it, but Tatsumaki is actually the one who rescues the car first. And now she's blaming Saitama for deflecting rocks in a dangerous way, putting people's lives in jeopardy, and she calls him a baldy, so he returns by calling her a midget, and oh god, look at her face, she is furious. If she wasn't using her full power before, I think she certainly is about to now. It seems like the tornado gets even more powerful, and now she's launching these giant boulders at Saitama like a machine gun. Now he's just trying to tire her out, but she thinks that he can't really do anything because he is a melee character, kind of what I was talking about before. I think this is a battle that Tatsumaki is used to whenever she fights any sort of melee villain. She just creates a crazy tornado that nobody can even get close. All they can do is dodge. She calls him pathetic. There's no way I can entrust Fubuki to someone like you, so get the hell away from her. And again, Tatsumaki trying to get her little sister to be a loner just like herself. No, don't depend on anyone, don't have your Blizzard group, just be solo. That's how you'll get strong and you can protect yourself. And then Saitama with his goofy face says, man, I want to go home. So that's the end of the chapter. The battle will continue in the next one, and I think based on the webcomic, which this chapter definitely adapted extremely well, the fight may end in the next chapter. We'll probably get one more full chapter of combat before it's over, and then we could potentially get the Psychic Sisters to battle each other, but we'll have to see what One and Murata do. I'm Mastar, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys for some more One Punch Man.